his use of acetate was another thing. I mean, I remember, not to digress, but I just want to get this in. As you go around, you'll find paintings that have acetate either taped or glued onto the painting. And I can remember him being very excited and telling me that he had discovered this way to paint with these acetate images, and I couldn't figure out what he was talking about until I finally got to see it. But he literally was able to, once he was able to paint with the acetate, he was able to add to all of these different elements that he could pick and choose from as he was creating his images, almost like the old color forms. I don't know if anybody remembers when they were kids, the plastic cutout shapes. But now, he didn't have to spray it on and paint over it. He could create a tracing, paint it, put it on, move it, change it. So there's some good ones. If you just go forward a couple, actually backward a couple, I'm sorry. Yeah, one, well, this one and this one, yeah. So the fish, the frog, the snake, the bugs.
Oh, right there.
Yeah, you got it. So it's kind of interesting. He's very experimental and always trying new things. Complete respect for him.
I met Peter in 1995 in Minneapolis. He kind of rocked my world because took me out of mine and into this studio world of artists. I'm not an artist, but I love art, and I love Peter. And so he was not an art snob. He thought anybody could be an artist, and he also made me feel like I could think what I wanted about art. I didn't want to go to art museums because I thought I was supposed to know about the art and know what I liked and be able to talk about art. And he just said, just like what you like. You know, so he just wanted people to like art, and he taught me so much about art. But I will say, when we were in the Louvre in France, I'd had enough, and I went and sat out by the fountain after 3-4 weeks of traveling around, and we were always in the museums because that's what he wanted to do. So this series, I'm hoping to make it a traveling show. He wanted to make it a traveling show about 1 week's casualties in Vietnam, and sort of bring veterans' health issues forefront. He saw something on TV about this, and later on, I didn't bring it with, but he found the magazine that they were talking about from Life magazine with 240 portraits, and he said, I'll just paint a few. And we were dating at that time, and all of a sudden there was more and more and more until there was 240 portraits all around his studio. He had a much bigger studio at that time instead of our small basement. But that's the thing, he just didn't give up. He was prolific, but he had this vision, and he didn't give up with what he was going to do. He was chosen, you'll see a couple women in the back, and he was chosen as lead artist for the art. Northeast Minneapolis was the sort of the artist center of Minneapolis. And
Art-A-Whirl.
Yes, he was chosen for the Art-A-Whirl as a lead artist. And so me and him went around and hung this poster up all over Minneapolis. That was pretty exciting. So he, when we moved here from from Minnesota for me to go to school here in the University of Bridgeport. We were in a little small place in up on the second floor in East Connecticut, East Bridgeport, and I came home one time, and he needed to paint every day, every day. If he did not paint every day, he was really crabby, because he just needed to get all these paintings out onto paper, and they just couldn't stay in his head. They needed to come out. And so we didn't have any place for him to paint where we lived. So he was all excited when I came home one day from school, because he had found that he had broken into the attic where we were living, and he found this huge attic above and started painting up there. So many of the paintings around here, many of the large ones you saw, Joe, and you talked about, were done up in that attic.
The ship, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of them were done up there. And we ended up paying for that attic space, just so you know. We told our landlord, we asked if we could use it, and so he had a place to go. Again, we were both happy because he was up there painting and I was down studying. So we were, we had that separateness, and then we had our togetherness. As you also look around, you'll see sand casting. He did sand casting. He just had so many ways to express art. And he had this kind of thing. Yes, Goodwill, like 6-7 times a week. Everybody at Goodwill, they're probably wondering where Peter is, because he was there, every day. He was just always at Goodwill, picking up these things to continue his art. He was just that, it just was what he wanted to do. Let's see. Yeah, I just want to show a video. It's of him actually doing the spin art. If you look around in the back, there is a couple paintings as you walk around. For many years he did spin. He would take like 4 paintings at a time, put them on a spin wheel. Here we go. This came from Minnesota.
A spinning table under.
And he would go to events with this, and he would just he had it perfected. So we'll show a little video here. Yes, my niece Robin, did you start it? At an event in North Minneapolis, where we just he went and volunteered his time with kids.
I'm guessing. Correct.
Maybe 1997 or
98.
I think maybe 98. They were having fun, the kids.
This is what I thought.
The kids in Bridgeport loved to do the sand castings. He did a number of, and that was a big project, lugging and stuff
Whoa. Yeah.
to create sand castings.
First night he did it at the Barnum Museum. He also with Liz Kowalski, I don't know if I'm saying her name right, Scalacci, they did the mural at the Barnum Museum. And I think Marianne and Joe, he did portraits of them on there. So. If anybody has either an anecdote about Peter and art, or have a comment or question, please feel free. Jeff, what would you like to say?
Hi, I'm Jeff Becker. So, Peter was one of the most stimulative person I ever met to talk to about art. I mean, just 5-minute conversation and just ideas would just come into my head. It was incredible. We would just talk about stuff and I'd be like, well, what about this or that or the other thing? We did talk at one time when he had the studio at the Nest about building a giant spin art thing, literally like close to the size of this room. I don't know how we would have managed the canvases, but I like the idea.
Well, Peter definitely did think big. I just tack on one more thought. I mean, I said in the beginning that Peter said to me the subject matter of his paintings didn't really matter or was secondary. But you can see as his paintings moved along over the past 15 or 20 years, and if you read the titles, the subject matter, I think, did start to matter. Whether it was a series of bird paintings, his portraits for sure, those continued to evolve from the time he started with the Life magazine, to paintings like this one, purifying vortex. There's a cosmic kind of theme to his paintings. So Peter was changing. He was being pulled in different directions by different influences. There was his humor, there was his angst, there was his art history and his knowledge of artists. All of these, and his spirituality, all of these things were shaping Peter. But I also agree. When you look at these paintings, you know they're all painted by the same person. So, any questions?
I want to say something. I think it's so evident. I only knew Peter for a few years. I really didn't know him well. I don't need the mic, Jonas. Thank you. And first of all, I want to say what a beautiful exhibition was created here. But the thing that strikes me so much, and I first saw the work from an exhibition that Jonas had put on, and I must say I didn't understand Peter's work. As I see it all now, his commitment in terms of the size and the energy, the amount of stuff that he puts into every canvas is extraordinary. And it shows Peter's commitment to his art and his ideas. And by the way, you said something before I can't remember what it was, I disagreed with in that that his subject didn't matter. His subject was matter. His subject was matter, and the way he breaks up matter, the way the universe breaks up matter, we're all, moving little particles. That's the way he saw it, or that's the way he felt it, or that's the way he intuited it. And and someone said something that I think it was you, Joe, that said his work was cosmic, and he's a cosmic painter. It's funny though. I was looking at what I take. I didn't see the label, and I take it that that's an old work or something from the 1980s or 90s. We don't know. Well, to me, he kind of out-schnabbled there, where he, putting everything in.
There are no pie plates, though.
Yeah, no pie plates, but he didn't need the pie plates. He's got his collage on there.
Yeah,
he's got his collage on there, and he's not self-conscious about putting on. This won't look smooth enough or hip enough or what. He is out there. He's fresh. He's committed. The bigness of it, the number of pieces, and and believe me, I know what it takes to do a lot of stuff and to store a lot of stuff. And it's just, first of all, it's a beautiful tribute that you made, and his work should be so much more well known because it deserves it, and it's very powerful work, and it tingles. His work tingles, and I saw that broad variety. I could go on, but I won't.
Go on.
I completely agree. I mean, there's one of his paintings that's entitled Everything.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I mean.
And that's what it's about.
It says it much more succinctly than I was.
May I?
Jim?
Yeah, the use of the orbs, I heard them described as bubbles as well, but I find it's really interesting. First I thought they were like a solar system, and they remind me of different things, but the varied sizes of the orbs creates depth, which is one thing he was really successful at in creating a three-dimensional painting.
Depth and movement.
Yeah.
We used to joke. He would not tell me how he made his orbs or bubbles. He called them spots and dots. It's a whole other story. But today, Cindy brought in the secret. This is a
No, don't worry.
I tried to get this out of Peter for years. It's what you put underneath a piece of furniture. It comes in all different sizes. That is what he used to create the bubbles. So, mystery solved. At least that mystery. Yes.
I'd like to talk a little bit about a very different side of Peter. When I look at the intensity of his art, I think of the evening I spent with the evening I spent with him. It was an art class, and I was the only person in the class. And I'm not an artist, but his intensity came down to the level of where he could teach me. And he had a vase of flowers, pretty pedestrian, and I looked at it and said, oh, okay. And then he said, you can only use 2 colors. Then for the next 5 minutes, he listened to me kvetch about the fact that I could only use 2 colors with this vase of flowers. Then he just said to me, do what you can do. And I did the very best painting I have ever done in all the years that I have, had fun painting. And we both looked at it at the end, and he said, that was very good. And I said, yes, that was very good. And it was because of his manner let me do for that hour what an artist does. And I have forever, when I take art lessons now, I sort of try to go back to the Peter Konsterlie evening and do what he taught me to do. So I thought that was...
Who else can we